I'm ABC 10 meteorologist Brenden Mincheff. On this Climate Conversations, I spoke with Congressman Josh Harder from Stockton and the San Joaquin Valley. He's recently introduced a bill with bipartisan backing called, a little bit of a mouthful, but the Modernizing Wildfire Safety and Prevention Act of 2025. It aims to tackle problems related to wildfires from a multitude of directions. Here's our conversation. So today, we're talking about your legislation that you're introducing, Modernizing Wildfire Safety and Prevention Act of 2025. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but exactly does that mean?
Well, we've been living through these mega fires here in California for years now. We just saw what happened to Los Angeles. That was us in Northern California just a couple of years ago. That was Hawaii just last year. It feels like this is deja vu all over again, with hundreds of billions of dollars of property loss damage, lives lost, all coming into communities like ours all the time. Sad truth is these fires are preventable, and we have to do more to make sure that this does not happen year after year.
Tell me a little bit about what's in this this bill that you are
This
presenting
bill
here.
is yeah, this is really dead simple. We really want to do three things. First is we need more firefighters. We saw what the firefighter shortage looked like in LA. We know that we need thousands more firefighters across California. We also need better technology. We need to be using drones and satellite technology to make sure that we can put out these fires and identify where they're starting down to the size of a kitchen table anywhere in California. And most of all, we need a better focus on prevention. We need to be doing the fuel management and the real growth maintenance in our forests and our wildlands all across the state to make sure that these fires don't get so out of control in the first place. I think if we do these three things, we can make sure that these fires will remain a thing of the past.
This is not just your bill. Representative Scott Franklin, Republican from Florida, as well as Democratic Representative Joe Neguse from Colorado, also on this bill. Um, so this is not just for California, then this would be for the country as a whole, correct?
This is obviously going to take effect for everybody across the country, but it's the West and really California that have borne the brunt of these wildfires over the last couple of years. But it friends in Washington, Colorado, Oregon, and these wildfires don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. So we have to build a broad coalition to work together to get this done and to make sure that we can have that focus on prevention that I think is so necessary.
The last few years too, we've really seen this with air quality.
Yeah.
Even though the fire smoke is, or the fire itself is in the west, the smoke is transported all the way into the east. So there's a focus on air quality here and public health as well, right?
That's right. I mean, the property damage, the loss of life is bad enough, but we're living with the smoke from these wildfires for months and even years afterwards. And Stockton is already the asthma capital of the United States. I know what it's like to have childhood asthma and to have to make sure that you remember your inhaler, you put it in your backpack on the way to school. I now have two young daughters, a 1 year old and a 3 year old, and I want to make sure that they grow up with better air quality and clean air the way that I needed it when I was their age. And this bill has some really important provisions on air quality, especially related to wildland fire smoke, because it's the smoke from these fires that is the biggest cause of increasingly poor air quality across the Central Valley. This wildland smoke is up to 10 times more dangerous for your lungs than an ordinary pollutant is. And so we have to be able to do a better job of tracking this and making sure that we can stop it from happening. So one of the things that this bill does that I'm really excited about is making sure that we are putting forward for the first time ever a national standard for air quality risks coming from smoke. So parents, families, anybody who wants to can get an up-to-date piece of information about what kind of smoke impacts are happening in their community in real time. And I think if we can do that, folks can have more information, even as we're trying to address that root cause, which of course is the fires in the first place.
It's kind of an all-encompassing approach here. We want to tackle it before, during, and after the fire's happening.
That's right. Yeah, I think we want to be able to do a better job, but we also know it's going to take time to get these fires under control. And our parents, our families have no time to waste. This air quality is causing a huge rise in asthma even now across the Central Valley. And so we need better monitoring systems, better identification and information. And of course, we need those filtration systems in community centers and in schools to try to clean up that air as our kids are breathing it every day.
If I'm reading this correctly, part of the bill that you're introducing talks about federal firefighters and wildland firefighter training. We've seen that we've had some issues with the Forest Service being able to keep up with some fires that have started. We've also potentially seen some layoffs impacting the Forest Service. Does this bill change any of that?
It changes it in two ways. One is we do need more folks in the Forest Service. The fact that we have fire trucks sitting idle when we have fires blazing year round across our state is unacceptable. We simply need more people to be able to fight the fires that we have. Our workforce still looks pretty similar to what it looked like 20 or 30 years ago, while the fires have changed completely. But then, second, we need a better job of training and equipping and supporting our local firefighters, the folks that work at the Stockton Fire Department, at the Tracy and South San Joaquin County Fire Departments, and all across California to make sure that they have the equipment to respond to these wildland fires. Because time and time again, we know that that's where the brunt of the frontline defense against these fires comes from. It's not just the Forest Service or CAL FIRE, it's from our ordinary fire departments. Some of those are even small volunteer fire departments, people that don't even get paid. And so we have to do a better job of creating a fire academy to make sure that those folks get the support that they need and that we take care of them when they come back because we know these fires need a lot of help.
And I guess maybe the last thing I'll ask is if I'm, someone down in Stockton or elsewhere in Northern California, what's the big takeaway? What's the local impact for me if this bill gets passed?
Look, I live half mile from where the Corral fire was in Tracy, where we had 200 firefighters working for weeks to put that fire out. If it had gone just a little further, it would have devastated my home and families across Tracy. Thankfully, due to the heroic works of our firefighters, it didn't. But the takeaway is that we need real urgency around this. I've spoken to so many victims of these fires, and they've told me that they're frustrated that not more has been done, that we have not actually put our foot on the gas in terms of making sure that we're dealing with that technology side, the workforce side, and the red tape and prevention to make these fires a thing of the past. So the story is help is on the way. We have to get this done now for families across the valley.
And it's obviously a bipartisan bill. Do you think there's support to move this all the way through and get it over the finish line?
There should be. We can't be politicizing this issue. And I think there's been efforts on both sides to try to do it. We have to resist that. We have to make sure that we are building together. Because again, these wildfires don't care about the color of your jersey. They care about, blazing through our communities. And so my hope is that we can get work across the aisle. 95% of the bills I write or introduce are with somebody from the other side. And this bill is no exception. So we're going to be building as big a coalition as we can to get this through, and I don't think it can happen soon enough.
Is there anything you'd like to add that I didn't ask, or a topic that you think is important to know that I didn't bring up?
No, I think, we're trying. I think one of the conclusions, though, that I really want to emphasize is that we're also trying to fight fire smarter. We know that there's no way that we can fix some of the insurance problems we have with fires without actually addressing the risk itself. If we have hundreds of thousands of acres, hundreds of billions of dollars of damage happening in California every year, there's no way that pencils out with our current insurance system. So we have to address that root cause. This is the first big bipartisan bill that'll do just that and provide that long-term solution we need.
Congressman Harder, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.